All right, so now we've gone over some of the rules of inspection, but now let's do an actual physical inspection of a piece and understand the things that we need to look for. Tim, what are your thoughts on your pre-inspection?
You know, a piece like this, we do show some wear. It's a little bit of an older piece. So on here, we're going to look at skirts. We want to make sure that the previous cleaning didn't shrink these. So you look for a nice tight pleat. We spin this around. You'll see that this, if it was sitting on carpet, would be right towards carpet level. So it doesn't look to me like we've had much shrinkage on the skirt. If we do lift this up, however, you're going to notice some things like this cardboard with metal staples in it. So there we want to be cautious when we get to cleaning this. And we might have to do a little dry foam cleaning on this skirt. We then go up and we look at the piping or the welt cord to see what kind of abrasion, what kind of damage is on here. And I took the opportunity a little earlier to look at this welt cord on the inside. And I just want to show you that usually this is a polypropylene rope, but this one happens to have a little metal in it to give it a little bit of rigidity. I've seen these where a reupholsterer used a piece of green twine, and when I had 2 calls out of the LA area within a month, and they cleaned upholstery and the welt cord turned green. So if it's a reupholstered piece, we don't really know what's in there. We don't want to go and cut it open, evidently, but we really have to watch for this, and we are going to make sure that we get these nice and dry and not overwet them in the first place.
I think the 3 types, main types of welt cord that I see out on the market today, the polypropylene rope like we see here. Another one that we've seen in the past that we still see on some older upholstery is the old, what they called miscellaneous short fiber. It was the brown paper rolled up into a tube and caused absolute nightmares as far as browning on what you would consider a wet, clean fabric. But we didn't take the time to actually take a look and see what was on the inside of that welt cord. So the other one that we're seeing a lot of, which is becoming really popular now, is that plastic tube. I don't know if you've seen much of that, but it's in a lot of the new upholstery today. I don't have much concerns about wet cleaning and dry foam or hot water extraction, but that's one of those where we really have to be cautious with the dry cleaning solvents, because you'll end up seeing that wave and grow and, and not stay perpendicular, if you will. So I think looking at the welt cord, which is something a lot of people don't do, is really, really important. So again, to your point, what you said earlier, inspect to know what to expect. I think that's really a good thing for you to think about.
We're also going to take these, and these cushions do have a zipper. Anytime there's a zipper, I want to open this up and look inside, see if there's any upholsterer's marks. And we don't see any on this particular piece, so we can zip that back up. Pull the seat cushion out. We can look right here, we have a little upholsterer's mark. Look on the other side, and here we have, looks like a little Sharpie, another upholsterer's mark. So that's a problem. So what we'd want to do in this case is take a piece of plastic, and we're simply going to put that between the 2 layers. So if we can cover that up before zipping it back up, we can make sure that we're not going to have that Sharpie come through after we're done cleaning.
And you can also test it to see if it's water soluble or if it's solvent soluble before you start your process. But even if you do the test, that doesn't always guarantee that you're not going to get that wick through into the material. So putting that impermeable barrier is really important there, just to save you from any headaches. So again,
once we've looked inside the cushion, we look for any excessive wear and tear. We then want to just kind of go through the makeup of a piece of upholstery. And this can be a sofa, love seat, or chair. But we have the inside back, the inside arm, the outside arm, the chair front, arm front. We have the skirt, we have the pleats, the welt cord, outside back. And generally speaking, when they put upholstery onto a piece, they always go with the strength of the weave. And the strength of the weave would be the warp direction is up and down, and the weft or the filler yarns are left to right. So the warp direction, generally speaking, if it's done right, is going to be from the inside back up, from the seat out, and from the inside arm up and over. So when you're cleaning with your tool, it's usually good to clean with the strength of that weave.
I would say the same thing when you're brushing your pre-spray in. You want to stay with that style, the strongest cord on the set. That way you're not getting any change in the dimensional of the straight lines, that type of thing.
Exactly. I've seen a lot of people clean upholstery and they come back and this straight line is now a little crooked. So we always clean with the strength and vacuum with the strength.
I think that's a great idea. And one thing I was noticing here, Tim, when you lifted this cushion up too, this is a great example of our cleaning codes and what they tell us. This is telling us this is an S only, a solvent clean only. The number one instruction here to the homeowner is, instruct a professional cleaning company to take care of this. So to my point earlier, I think they're trying to keep the customer from taking it out in the driveway and hosing it down themselves.
Right.
But the other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is, that you get these calls as well. If you look at this tag right here, it says body, and it breaks it down, body, cushion, and then all loose pillows. But body here says polyester fiber. And so the majority of times when cleaners call us, they tell us they're cleaning a polyester piece of upholstery because that's what it says here. But we need to understand that just because it says body, if it doesn't say outer shell material, then we need to understand that really doesn't tell us what's on the outside of that. So we go back, we do our inspection, we do the burn test, and to what Tim said earlier, if at all there's any natural fibers in it, then we're going to lean into the natural side of cleaning. So don't always take this as a gospel, but use your experience and what you're learning today to understand what you can do on dry clean only fabrics if you can wet clean them in the low moisture system.
You'll always get a better result with wet cleaning.
Agreed. Well, and the one thing that we talked about earlier, Tim, you and I were having this discussion about dry cleaning is great for oil-based, petroleum-based product stains, that type of thing. But if you were to take a sugar cube and put it into a container full of dry cleaning solvent, how long do you think it would take that to dissolve?
It'll never dissolve.
Because it doesn't break down. It has no moisture. It has no pH values. So the majority of soils that we're going to see on upholstery like this today are going to be water-based or oil-based from our body, that type of thing. So dry cleaning by itself is not really that effective. So what else do we look for, Tim?
Now we want to look at the decking material as well. And again, Pat mentioned earlier that we always put a piece of plastic down here if you want to dry your cushion on top of the decking material. Because probably the number one call we get about dye transfers from the deck. People put it on there, and now it's on the cushion.
Yeah, I actually read an article the other day that said that there's more damage caused to upholstery by people drying the cushions on the decking of the material. Even though everything else turned out great, this material on the deck here is very unstable as far as the dye goes. So everything else can be really stable, but this can be a really, really big concern. So we really want to make sure that we're paying attention to that when we're drying our cushions.
Right.
So Tim, one of the things while we were looking at this, I noticed on the back, and this is something that's really important for the cleaners, this is a type of stain or soil that we really want to bring to the customer's attention as well as ask them if they know what it is. So, in my mind, looking at this appears to be some sort of grease or petroleum-based product.
Right.
So, again, I'll go back to, is there some, helpful benefits to dry cleaning solvent? Would this be something that we would want to take out first?
That would be perfect for a dry cleaning solvent.
Okay. So petroleum-based products, again, use the arsenal of chemicals that you have. But when we spin this around, we also want to talk about some of these other areas. The last time you got up out of a chair, did you notice that you grabbed it right here on the arm and pulled yourself up? So we want to really take a look at these areas and make sure that the material is still together. I know you've seen it probably as much as I have. I've actually seen arms of upholstery that the only thing that was actually holding the fiber together was the soil.
Right.
And once you remove that soil, then you have all that damage that we didn't see before.
Yeah.
So, looking at these major areas of wear, like Tim pointed out, right on the face, the box of the cushion, these arms where they're going to get all that abrasive wear, I think is really important for you to do.
And now we're going to move into the cleaning steps.